The story of Larissa dos Santos Lima doesn't end where the cameras of 90 Day Fiancé stopped rolling. In fact, for one of the franchise's most polarizing figures, the departure from television marked the beginning of a far more dramatic, controversial, and financially lucrative chapter. To understand what life is really like for Larissa Lima now, we have to look past the catchphrases and televised fights. We have to follow the money, the headlines, and the trail of digital breadcrumbs she has left across the internet. Her journey since leaving the TLC network has been a masterclass in leveraging notoriety, a relentless pursuit of a specific physical ideal, and a constant high-stakes battle to secure her place in America. Her official severing from the 90 Day Fiancé universe was as dramatic as her tenure on the show. In September 2020, just days after revealing a stunning, head-to-toe, plastic surgery transformation, TLC announced they were cutting ties with her. The reason? A 1-hour lingerie show she performed on the adult streaming platform, Cam Soda. For the network, this crossed a line. For Larissa, it was simply the next logical step in her personal rebranding. She had already been dipping her toes into the world of monetized online content, and the network's decision only served to shove her fully into the deep end. In a statement, she was defiant, claiming she was now free to pursue avenues that would finally bring her financial independence, something she felt the show never truly provided. She alleged her final paycheck from 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, was a mere $45,000, a figure she claimed was barely enough to survive on, let alone thrive. This exit also coincided with the final, sputtering end of her on-again, off-again relationship with Eric Nichols. Their romance had been a chaotic sequel to her explosive marriage and divorce from Colt Johnson. The relationship with Eric was a roller coaster documented for the cameras, complete with screaming matches, breakups, and reconciliations. But behind the scenes, it was reportedly even more volatile. When they finally split for good around November 2020, Larissa was truly on her own. She had no network, no husband, and a relationship with her ex-boyfriend that was, by her own admission, toxic. She was a single woman in Las Vegas with a famous face, a controversial reputation, and a pressing need to build a life from the ground up, all while the threat of deportation loomed over her head. The foundation of this new life, this new Larissa, was built on a deliberate and radical physical transformation. While on the show, she had already undergone some procedures, but after her final appearance, she embarked on a surgical odyssey that would render her almost unrecognizable. This wasn't just a nip and a tuck. It was a complete overhaul. In that same month, she was fired by TLC. She revealed the results of a $72,000 transformation package. The list of procedures was extensive. A breast augmentation taking her to a 34DD, a nose job, liposuction on her abdomen and waist, a fat transfer to her buttocks, and various cosmetic treatments like Botox and fillers. Her goal was explicit. She wanted to look like a doll. She spoke openly about her desire for a more artificial, enhanced aesthetic, inspired by figures like Kylie Jenner. This wasn't about subtle enhancement. It was about creating a new persona, a living brand. The surgeries became her narrative. Each procedure was an event, documented and discussed with her growing online following. She was both the artist and the canvas, and she understood that the process itself was content. The public was fascinated, critical, and captivated in equal measure. While many praised her honesty, others accused her of promoting unrealistic beauty standards and becoming addicted to surgery. But Larissa was unbothered by the criticism. For her, the surgeries were an investment. They were the key to unlocking the career she truly wanted, a career that existed on a platform where her new body was her biggest asset: OnlyFans. While many reality stars pivot to selling flat tummy tees or sponsored content on Instagram, Larissa went all in on the burgeoning creator economy of adult content. She had launched her page while still under contract with TLC, but after her firing, she was untethered. She quickly became one of the platform's highest-profile success stories. Reports began to surface of her staggering income. She claimed to be making over $40,000 a month, a figure that dwarfed her reality TV earnings. In interviews, she spoke about it with the frankness of a CEO discussing quarterly earnings. She wasn't just posting risque photos, she was running a business. She engaged with her subscribers, fulfilled custom requests, and strategically managed her content to maximize her income. Her page became a space where she had complete control over her image and, more importantly, her finances. She had gone from being a character on a television show, her narrative shaped by producers and editors, to being the producer, director, and star of her own life story. This newfound wealth allowed her to not only fund more cosmetic procedures, but also to live a lifestyle that looked from the outside like the American dream she had spoken about on the show. She lived in Las Vegas, a city built on spectacle and reinvention, which seemed a fitting backdrop for her own story. Her social media was a curated gallery of this new life: designer clothes, lavish dinners, and a confidence that seemed worlds away from the tearful, frustrated woman seen in her early days in America. However, beneath the glamorous surface, a serious and terrifying battle was being waged. Her immigration status remained precarious. Her original K-1 visa was tied to her marriage to Colt Johnson. Their divorce, coupled with multiple arrests for domestic battery, the charges were later dismissed or reduced, put her in a vulnerable position. The threat of deportation was not just a storyline, it was a constant, real-world fear. In September 2020, her worst fears were realized when she was briefly detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, while preparing to move from Las Vegas to Colorado Springs with Eric Nichols. The incident was a stark reminder that despite her fame and financial success, her future in the country was not guaranteed. Her lawyer at the time worked tirelessly, and Larissa was released, but the case dragged on. For years, she lived in a state of legal limbo. She gave regular updates to her followers, sharing her anxiety and the prohibitively expensive legal fees she was incurring. This struggle added another layer to her public persona. She was not just a glamorous influencer. She was an immigrant fighting to stay in the country she now called home. The fight became a central part of her narrative, humanizing her in the eyes of many who had previously seen her only as a villain. Finally, in early 2023, after years of uncertainty, she announced the news her supporters had been waiting for. She had been granted a green card. The battle was over. She was a permanent resident of the United States. Life in America also meant confronting the painful reality of being separated from her children in Brazil. Critics frequently used her children, a son named Ari and a daughter named Luane, as a weapon against her, questioning her mothering skills and accusing her of abandoning them to pursue fame and fortune in the U.S. Larissa has addressed the topic on multiple occasions, explaining the complex circumstances. She stated that her son, Ari, lives with his father and that she maintains a relationship with them, providing financial support. Her daughter, Luane, was adopted by her aunt when Larissa was struggling financially and emotionally in Brazil, long before her move to America. She has expressed deep love for her children and a desire to one day bring them to the U.S., but has maintained that her immediate priority had to be securing her own stability first. It's a deeply personal and complicated issue, one that adds a layer of melancholy to her story of triumph and transformation. With her legal status secured and her finances stabilized, Larissa made a significant life change. In 2021, she left the glitz and chaos of Las Vegas behind and moved to Colorado Springs. The move signaled a desire for a quieter, more stable environment. It was a clear attempt to step away from the whirlwind of drama that had defined her public life for so long. However, the move didn't mean she was retiring from the spotlight. She continued to be a prolific content creator, but her focus seemed to shift slightly. Alongside her usual glamorous content, she began to speak more openly about her mental health. She shared her struggles with anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia, revealing a vulnerability that was often hidden behind her confident, surgically enhanced exterior. She talked about the immense pressure of maintaining her image and the toll that constant public scrutiny had taken on her. In one candid moment, she even expressed some regret about the extent of her surgeries, specifically a botched abdominoplasty that she claimed had damaged her abdominal muscles. She cautioned her followers to be careful, admitting that her quest for perfection had come at a physical and emotional cost. These moments of raw honesty resonated with her audience, showing a side of Larissa that was relatable and human. She was no longer just a caricature. She was a complex woman navigating the fallout of her choices. Her love life also continued to be a topic of public fascination. After the final, definitive split from Eric Nichols, she appeared to remain single for a period, focusing on her career and her immigration case. However, she eventually re-entered the dating world,